Hi scholars, it's Miss Marnon. So today we're going to start our new unit. So it's all about linear expressions. So it's one of our 2 algebra units we're going to do, and it's just going to be expressions. So there's not an equal sign where we're going to solve yet. So our objective today is to identify and use the associative, commutative, and distributive properties. We've used these before, but we're just going to do a review because we're going to need them in this unit a lot. So for our our review question, Roberto buys pizza and wings for $19.99. He has a coupon for 10% off his order. How much does Roberto spend on pizza and wings? So pause the video and see if you can answer this DIN question on your own. Okay, so we always use quantity equals percent times whole. So quantity equals percent times the whole. So the original price is our whole. We know we need 10% off the order. So we're going to have some mystery discount times 10% or 0.1 times our whole $19.99. Multiply that out, we get that the discount amount is going to be 1.999. So that's how much money we need to take off. But as you may remember, money only has 2 decimal places. So if we cut this off here and we round it, this 9 is a 5 or above. So we're going to give it a shove. 199 is about $2. So this is the amount we need to take off. This is what he's saving. So we're going to start with the $19.99 for the pizza and wings. Oh, my pen's doing crazy things again. Take away that $2. And he's going to end up paying $17.99. For our preview question, it's just asking, what properties do you remember learning about? So maybe you saw them in the objective and you remember those, but there are some other ones that we've learned about. So pause the video and see which ones you can remember. Okay, so we have learned about the associative. We've learned about commutative. We've done the distributive property. But we've also done other ones that we're not talking about today. We've done like additive inverse and additive identity and multiplicative inverse and multiplicative identity. Those are all math properties. So if you remember just the names, you remember what they are, it's okay. We're going to review them today. So we're going to review just the first 3, associative, commutative, and distributive. So for our first exercise, one property that we have learned about before is the associative property. This property is about grouping numbers together. So what we use to group numbers, we use parentheses, sometimes we use brackets, sometimes we use absolute value, but this is kind of its own thing. So we're going to stick to parentheses and brackets for our grouping for associative property. So let's see if when we group, when we add, subtract, multiply, or dividing with different groupings, if we get the same answers. So what I'm talking about is look at this adding one. In this one, it's all adding, so it's just 3 numbers added together. But this first one, it wants us to do the 5 plus 8 first. And the second one, it wants us to do the 8 plus 2 first. So pause the video and add these up. So show your steps of doing this added first and then adding this on. Okay, so I got 5 plus 8 is 13. And then if we add that 2 on, it's 15. This one, 8 plus 2 is going to be 10. So if we have 5 plus 10, that's going to be 15. Because we got the same answer, it is associative. So we can say yes. Here we have multiplying, so it's going to be the same thing. So it's 5 times 3 times 2. So try it doing the 5 times 3 first, and then try it doing the 3 times 2 first. So pause the video and try this now. Okay, so 5 times 3 is 15. Times 2, I got 30. 3 times 2 is 6, so 5 times 6, still 30. So multiplying, yes, it is associative. Now let's look at subtracting. So try the subtracting one. Do the 17 minus 5 first for the first one, and on the next one, do 5 minus 2 first and see what you get for both of these. So 17 minus 5, I got 12 minus 2. This I now have is 10. If I do 5 minus 2 first here, 5 minus 2 is 3. So 17 minus 3, I got 14. So because these are not the same answer, subtracting is not associative. So we're going to put no here. So now let's try it with dividing. So we have 24 divided by 4 divided by 2. So pause the video and try 24 divided by 4 first, and then try if you do 4 divided by 2 first. So hopefully you got 24 divided by 4 is 6, divided by 2 will be 3. 4 divided by 2 is 2, so 24 divided by 2 is 12. Because they're not the same, it's not associative. So the associative property only works for adding and multiplying. So what it's saying is it doesn't matter if you group these ones first or you group these ones first, as long as you're all adding or all multiplying, it's not going to change your answer. So I am just going to highlight that it's only adding and multiplying. And maybe we can even cross out not subtracting, not dividing. So let's look at another property we've done before. So we've done the commutative property before. So this property is all about switching the order of the numbers. So can we change the numbers around and get the same answer? So we're going to do the same thing we did before for adding, multiplying, subtracting, and dividing. So why don't you pause this video and see if you get the same answers for all the ones on the left as you do on the right. And so do that for all adding, multiplying, subtracting, and dividing. Okay, so you were supposed to pause the video and try these 4 all on your own. If I did 2 plus 3, I get 5. 3 plus 2, I still get 5. So adding, yes, it is commutative. If we do multiplying, 6 times 3 is 18. 3 times 6 is still 18. So yes, multiplying is commutative. Now with subtracting. If we have, let's do orange, 10 minus 3, that's 7. 3 minus 10, if you needed to change this into adding, if you leave change, that's the same as 3 plus negative 10. And this is negative 7. So is subtracting commutative? No, it is not. So we could not switch the order for subtracting and get the same answer. For dividing, 24 divided by 4 is 6. But 4 divided by 24 is 1/6, or if you got a decimal, it's 0.16 repeating. So is dividing commutative? No, it is not. So if we want to go back through and kind of highlight the main points of our notes, I'll do blue this time. So commutative property is all about switching the orders. It works for adding, it works for multiplying, does not work for subtracting, does not work for dividing. Last property we're going to talk about today is the distributive property. So this property you learned in, actually you started learning it in 1st grade and you probably didn't even know you started learning it in 1st grade. So it's when we have something that looks like this. So you have some number in front of parentheses, and we know this means multiplication because I'm a lazy mathematician. I don't always write multiplication. Oh, my pen and my computer's freaking out. So this is multiplication between some number and the parentheses. I don't know why it does this at home more than it does at school. So we have some number between parentheses, and then you're usually adding a bunch of different numbers in here. And so maybe you have 2, maybe you have more, or you could be subtracting. So some number times a whole group. So we have to just verify that they're on the same. So if you look here, the distributive property says we can take everything in here and do that number times whatever was in the parentheses, and we just distribute it. Like if you were at a party and you had some cake, you give the cake to everybody. So here's the cake, here's everybody in the party, everybody gets some cake. So if we look here at this first one, they had 5 times the quantity, 7 plus 2. So we need to check, is that the same as 5 times 7 plus 5 times 2? So pause the video and see what you get on both sides of this equal sign. Okay, so 7 plus 2 is 9. So this side is 5 times 9. And 5 times 9 is 45. On this side, 5 times 7, I got 35. 5 times 2 is 10. So if we do 35 plus 10, we still get 45. So we have, yes, distributive property works here. Let's see if we can do it with some subtraction. So they did 10 times 9, and then 10 times, they subtracted 10 times 3. So pause the video, see if you can see if these are the same on both sides. So does it work with adding and does it work with subtracting? Okay, so 9 minus 3 is 6. So this is 10 times 6, and 10 times 6 is just 60. On the other side, 10 times 9 is 90. Minus 10 times 3, that is 30. 90 minus 30, I still have 60. So we got the same thing on both sides, so it is true, we did verify it. Last one. Now we're going to see, okay, so does this work with division? So we're not going to check multiplication, because if you're multiplying a whole bunch of things, we already proved with associative property, you can regroup it. So we're going to try it now with division. So they're saying this 20 plus 8 is divided by 4. So can I do 20 divided by 4 plus 8 divided by 4 and get the same answer? So pause the video and see if you get the same answer on both sides of the equal sign. Okay, so 20 plus 8 is going to be 28. Divided by 4 is 7. On this side, 20 divided by 4 is 5. Plus 8 divided by 4 is 2. I still got 7. So the distributive property, it works over addition and subtraction, but it's not just always multiplication. We can use it with division. So let's just kind of put a note here for us. And the reason that works is something we learned about in our second unit called multiplicative inverse. And we're going to talk more about that in class. So make sure you are coming to class, whether that's in person or a Teams meeting, so we can talk about why multiplicative inverse and division kind of work together. So for the rest of the lesson, you have these practice problems. You have 1 and 2. These are kind of short, so try both of them. For number 1, you just need to say true or false, does this work? So you can either just know it, did it work from properties that we tested, or are both sides equal on the equal sign? And then if it is true, put the property. If it's false, you don't need to list the property because it's not a property, it doesn't work. This one, you just need to figure out what property is this. So you might not recognize it right away. See if you can figure out which of the 3 we did. For your exit ticket, you just have to match. So you can either kind of draw lines connecting them, or beneath 1, 2, and 3, you can put the letters below it to see which ones match. When you're all done, you're going to go to Delta Math and complete practice 8.